Hi there guys and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. My name is Chris Coney, I am the host of the Cryptoverse and the founder of cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. You can find out more at cryptoversity.com. If you go to the podcast page, you can subscribe to the Cryptoverse and have it fed directly to your jolly self every day on whatever your favorite platform is, whether it's iTunes podcasts, whether it's the Stitcher app, Google Play, whether it's the YouTubes, or whether it's Steam It. And to support the Cryptoverse, you can click through to Steam It, vote for this episode, or contribute directly using the Bitcoin address on the podcast page. Let's take a look at the market roundup this morning, as we always do. Now then, let's look at the two Ethereums. The two Ethereums are edging further apart once again, with Ethereum Core pushing up to $11 for 43, and Ethereum Classic pushing down to $2.04. There's now a bigger gap than there was yesterday. The Ethereum Classic is now the sixth most capitalized coin at $169 million, which is strange. I'm not going to cover this article today, but there is an article released about some white hat hackers who have apparently recovered 7 million Ethereum Classic tokens from the DAO hack. Now you would think that kind of a news would push the price up, but it hasn't. Either that or those people haven't heard about it. Ethereum Classic is down 9.6% today in the last 24 hours. So that's strange. Usually those kinds of sensational news stories have a big impact on the price. Ethereum Core, on the other hand, is up 4.8%, near enough. So that's what's creating the big gap. What else do I see here? I see MadeSafe has gained 7.7%. And Bitcoin retains its 80% dominance in the market. Oh, it is a big one. Factom is now the 15th most capitalized coin, having gained 38% of its value in 24 hours. That's quite a lot. Granted, it's only worth $20 million, but that's quite a big double-digit jump for Factom. Very interesting. All right, that's enough of that. Let's look at the Bitcoin price chart. Bitcoin sitting at $584. We're still sat below that $600 mark, still recovering from the massive price crash thanks to the Bitfinex hack and whatnot. Keep an eye on that. Let's go back to the Bitfinex hack. I had a break from it yesterday, but there's still many questions to ask. And funnily enough, CoinDesk have an article entitled Questions Abound as Bitfinex issues digital assets to customers. So let's see what we've got here then. Scroll down past this roll of tickets that looks like tickets from a fairground. And the article says, Bitfinex has issued its own digital asset in what analysts are labeling as unusual attempts to offset customer losses stemming from that $66 million theft last week. As the market eagerly awaited more details this weekend, Bitfinex announced and subsequently released a new blockchain asset called BFX, which is a token, and it just issued it to all customers. The offering, now visible in users' accounts, is an attempt by the company to reimburse exchange users for the, quote, generalized loss of roughly 36% of their funds as an emergency measure to keep the exchange online. Okay, so this sounds like an IOU, doesn't it? It sounds like they are going to take the path of issuing IOUs, and then they're going to buy those IOUs back, and this is my guess anyway, they're going to buy these IOUs back gradually as they make profits. So they're going to pay for the losses out of future profits. Now that would be cool, right? That would be cool. The only trouble with that is that if you wanted to withdraw your IOU, you couldn't do because it's only good on the exchange, but that's just by the way. So initially priced at $1 each, the BFX token is intended to be traded on an open market and it might even eventually be swapped out for stock in Bitfinex, the exchange's Hong Kong-based parent company. Ooh, now it's getting complicated, because now you're talking about real equities, stocks in an actual company. Ooh, my goodness. The exchange wrote this weekend, quote, "The BFX token will remain outstanding until repaid in full by Bitfinex or exchanged for shares of Bitfinex Inc., also Bitfinex Inc. The specific conditions associated with the exchange of these tokens will be explained in a later announcement." Close quote. Yikes. To analysts, the token is yet another step into uncharted territory for the troubled exchange that began last week with the plan to generalize losses across its user base. On one hand, analysts agree the token is representative of what might happen should a business enter the liquidation phase of a bankruptcy. On other fronts, they were less sure of both how to view the token and maybe more importantly, how it could be viewed by regulators. Yes, well, that was the thing. You know, we did that article the other day, and I was talking about the CFTC and how the way Bitfinex was running it was more like a futures exchange. Well, that was the kind of uncharted territory that got their bottom smacked in the first place. Well, that $75,000 fine, which actually, sowed the seed to this whole scenario in the first place. So now, issuing their own internal currency effectively, these internal IOUs, which could be redeemed for what? Hong Kong dollars or Bitcoin, or what's the other thing? Stock in Bitfinex. I don't know. Maybe people don't want to hold stocks because there's a whole load of fiat laws that apply to those. I personally wouldn't want that. It's like, look, I was trading crypto because I like crypto. Don't be giving me these equities because I didn't want that. If I wanted equities, I'd have bought them, right? That's just me. So the same but different. Veteran digital currency lawyer Carol Van Cleef, for example, told CoinDesk she believes this is the first instance where a digital asset has been issued by a company to meet its debt obligations. Now that's groundbreaking, isn't it? Yeah, so they're basically issuing stock because they owe users, $66 million. What if the user declines? That's the good question, isn't it? In law, you can't force it on them. It's like, look, you owe me $60 million, right? Or, that's for the whole user base, but it might be me. I might have about $1 million on the exchange. And so I give them $1 million. And they're like, well, how about $1 million worth of stock? And I say, no. Now what happens, right? Give me the money. What if everybody says no? You don't know, do you? Let's see. So according to the terms, the BFX tokens are being deposited, quote, without release or waiver, which presumably means whether the customer wants them or not. So they're being deposited into each user's account. US customers may face additional restrictions, though exactly why was not clear from company materials. Wow. So it does sound like they're going to force it on them. It's that thing I mentioned the other day. It's going to be like, look, we either issue these equity token thingies to everybody and then we buy them back off you gradually, or the exchange fails and everyone loses everything. So it's the less of the two evils. So these are the kind of sticky situations you get into when these situations happen. So Van Cleef added the idea isn't without its parallels in traditional finance. Carol, so she says, it is apparent that they have attempted to develop a solution that is cognizant of various legal frameworks, she said. However, she foresees that the US government agencies such as the SEC and the CFTC could take an interest in the company's activities, but said that there's nothing that inherently prevents Bitfinex from pegging its token to the US dollar or making it redeemable for stock. Van Cleef also said that kind of financial arrangement, while not commonly done using a token, is not unheard of in other contexts. Okay, so it does have some similarities in the mainstream financial system. So in lieu of insurance, digital currency lawyer Drew Hinks agreed that BFX token is fundamentally different than anything he's ever seen before. Furthermore, he commented on the speed at which the decision to issue the asset was reached. Here's a quote. This concept of having an equity shortfall and issuing a token that can be convertible into stock, to my mind, has never happened before, he said. Convertible debt into equity is not something you typically toss out there. Another difference is that while Bitfinex is branded as an exchange, many of its customers have opted to use the platform as a means to store their funds, kind of as a wallet, I guess. As Bitfinex uses a margin trading system based on peer-to-peer lending, there are advantages to doing so, namely the interest payments that users can gain. But Hing said the lack of insurance offered by the company made doing so especially risky. Traditional banks are required to insure deposits of up to $250,000 through the Federal Deposit Insurance Trust, the FDIC. But this is not the same for digital currency exchanges. While it might not be legally required, you could do it optionally, just in case if you cared about users' funds. Hinks is concerned about what might happen if customers demand a full withdrawal of their deposit. That's exactly what I just said. In some other ways, the BFX token appears to be based on the assumption that the customers will be more interested in recovering their funds over time without a fight than all at once through the potentially tedious process of a lawsuit. And he says the entire community should take half a step back and look what's happened. He continued, a lot of people have been robbed, and instead of their money, they're being offered a debt token. A pound of flesh. Jerry Brito, executive director of the non-profit research facility Coin Center, agrees with Hinks that US agencies are likely to be paying close attention to the way Bitfinex is handling the theft. Well, I guess the US authorities are only going to be interested in Bitfinex users who are citizens of the United States, right? Speaking with CoinDesk, Brito said he believed it is likely that the US Federal Trade Commission that would be paying the closest attention. Oh, he said it is the US Federal Trading Commission that would be paying the closest attention. Right. So it's the CFTC, is that? The Federal Trade Commission? FTC. The FTC. So the FTC is the one that's going to be paying the closest attention to the Bitfinex situation. Specifically, he's concerned about the Bitfinex terms of service. The documents have come under community scrutiny in recent days for revealing new details, such as Bitfinex's registration in the British Virgin Islands. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? But Brito said that uncertainty about Bitfinex's decision could result in action by more than just the private sector. And he concluded, I would be surprised if there are not lawsuits that emerge from this incident, especially by customers who may want to contest the socialized loss scheme. It says Bitfinex did not respond to requests for additional information at press time. This whole notion of a socialized loss, I don't think that's what they're doing. They're not saying, right, look, we've lost to 66 million. And instead of it all coming out of our pocket, Bitfinex, what we're going to do is everyone's going to lose 36% of their account. And then we'll just draw a line and get back to business. And then that's this case closed. That would be socializing the losses. As it is, they're saying, okay, instead of shaving 36% off everyone's holdings with Bitfinex, the exchange, what we're going to do is we're going to issue 36% of your account to you in the BFX tokens, right? Which is essentially an IOU. And then we'll buy them back off you over time. Okay. So just the issuing of the token, that isn't case closed. That's just an interim solution to say, look, this is a promissory note that we will pay you back this amount into your account. It's just that the reason we're issuing you with an IOU is because we don't actually have the money right now. But rest assured, we'll do our best, make our business profitable again, and then start paying you back over time. So the users have to be somewhat reasonable, because if they do, like they all rush in and say, right, give us the cash, well, that's going to collapse the exchange and everyone's going to lose. So yes, it's not cool that they got hacked. Yes, it's not cool that it was your exchange that got hacked. That's all bad stuff. But you can't live expecting no bad things to happen, right? It's not about what happens, it's how we respond to what happens. So even if you're a user with no direct cause or responsibility for it, you still have a responsibility to choose your response to it. And rather than getting triggered and getting your ego out, you got to think, okay, objectively, what's most important to me? My funds. right? My money is probably the most important thing to me. So then once you've established that, you can say, okay, what behavior is going to give me the highest chance of getting my money back? And kicking up a stink and forcing Bitfinex to pay you back in cash right now, that's not going to do that, right? Cooperating with them, thinking win-win, is going to get you your money back, okay? And it's not as if Bitfinex have done anything fraudulent, as far as we know. It just seems like a security breach, some money's been lost, and they are sort of trying to do their best to resolve the situation. Finally, I will say, if you don't like the idea of issuing the BFX token, the IOU thingy, what is your proposed solution? If you are a disgruntled user of Bitfinex and you don't like the proposed solution, submit one to them, right? Submit one to them. I'm sure they'll be open to ideas, unless they're really stubborn. But if I were in their shoes, I would gladly accept proposals from well-informed users who have thought through the solutions and submitted proposals that were well thought out and plausible. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that issue ones that just make no sense because they don't really understand how an exchange runs and so forth. However, that wouldn't deter me from inviting the users to suggest how we could resolve it. I would put my forward. I would say, how about this debt idea where we give you the IOUs and we'll pay you back over time? And then if no one objects, boom, let's do that. But if people object, then I'll say, okay, I invite proposals from the users. That's true transparency, right? And then I would publicly debate them. I'd be like, okay, I'd make a video saying, okay, this is one of the proposals we'd have, and or we've had one of this proposal, and I would talk about the pros and cons of it, right? And then I would issue that to the community, and I would let them vote on it and stuff like this. But maybe that's just not how they want to get down. I don't know. I'm just giving you my news and commentary on the news, which is my job. Alrighty. I was going to talk about Donald Trump, but you can check this article out for yourself. It says, Donald Trump would stop new financial regulation in the US. That's a good thing for Bitcoin because, like we've seen with the Bitfinex situation, the regulation actually exacerbated the problem. So check that one out. I'll put the link to this in the video description in the on the Steemit post, so go check that out. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Cryptoverse with me, Chris Coney. I'd like to thank you for listening today. As always, get yourself over to the podcast page on Cryptoversity. Subscribe yourself on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Store, YouTube, or Steemit. And also click through to Steemit if you'd be so kind. Vote for this episode or contribute some Bitcoin directly using the Bitcoin address on that page. And before you go, make sure you check out the main site, cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. My name's Chris Coney. I have been your host today, and until the next episode, it's bye for now.